Episode 9: The Silent Damage of the Throwaway Comment. You know what's frightening? You never forget the first person who comments on your hair loss. You just don't. Years later, you still remember where you were, how they said it, who was around you, and the feeling that hit your stomach afterwards. Because what sounds like a throwaway comment to one person can feel absolutely crushing to another. Hair loss is deeply personal. It's tied to identity, confidence, aging, attractiveness. So when somebody highlights the very thing you've been quietly worrying about in private, it can hit far harder than people realize. I know because I've experienced it personally and witnessed it countless times. And after decades speaking with patients and hearing countless stories behind closed doors, one thing becomes very clear. Most people remember the comments more than the hair itself. One moment in particular stayed with me, and I have had a few thrown my way over the years. Ironically, this one in particular came from somebody who understood the psychology behind all this firsthand. We were sitting around a dinner table after a few drinks. It was evident he'd had more than his usual quota, and throughout the evening he kept referring to my thinning crown with quite a passion. Little digs, little observations, said jokingly but noted by me. At the time, I smiled, laughed it off, clocked the guy's MO fairly quickly, and parked it for the sake of the evening. You do what most would do. Keep things moving. Don't create awkwardness. Don't give it oxygen. But afterwards, when I reflected on it properly, my first thought honestly was, what a dick. Not just because of the comments themselves, but because of what sat underneath them. Whether he was consciously aware of it or not, there was clearly something deeper driving the need to repeatedly highlight another person's insecurity, especially after I'd tried to help the guy on numerous occasions and had taken the time to get to know him properly. And I remember thinking to myself in that moment, this is not somebody I could ever genuinely connect with. That whole interaction told me far more about him than I needed to know, as this relationship had zero mileage. This was later confirmed countless times too, after the event. I remember thinking, you of all people should understand this. And I suppose, looking back, it was more a reflection on them than me, because sometimes people project their own insecurities outward. Sometimes those most focused on exposing vulnerability in others are battling something unresolved within themselves. But regardless of intent, comments around hair loss can stay with people for years. Because once hair loss enters your awareness, you become hyper-aware of everything. Mirrors, lighting, photos, angles, other people's eyes, other people's words. I've seen this pattern repeat itself thousands of times in patients from every background imaginable: strong people, successful people, confident people. Hair loss has a way of making people feel emotionally exposed. And I think many men are taught to laugh these things off publicly while carrying them privately. But feeling hurt by those moments does not make you weak. It makes you human. Because often the hardest part is not losing the hair itself. It's the feeling of suddenly being seen differently. And if I could leave people with one final thought, it would be this: don't carry bitterness towards the person who made the comment. Whether they meant harm or not, holding on to resentment only keeps you emotionally tied to the moment. Remember it, learn from it, keep the receipts if you need to. But understand something important: people who repeatedly highlight insecurity in others are often dealing with something deeply unresolved within themselves. That dinner taught me that very clearly. And over time, you begin to realize that other people's words should never become the foundation of how you value yourself, because hair loss may affect how you feel, but it should never define who you are. I'm Spencer Stevenson, and this is the Hair Loss Lab. If you found value in the conversations, insights, and honest discussions shared here, please consider subscribing to the channel. It genuinely means a great deal. I completely understand that subscribing to a hair loss channel can feel personal for some people. Hair loss is often a deeply private journey, but my hope is that this platform becomes a trusted space for education, reassurance, perspective, and clearer guidance in an industry that can often feel overwhelming. By subscribing, you'll stay up to date with upcoming podcasts, expert interviews, patient stories, and new educational content designed to help you make more informed and confident decisions moving forward. Thank you for being here and for supporting the Hair Loss Lab.